Hey, how's it going, everybody? Oh, that sounds nice. Oh, wow, a little bit of does it sound good? Maybe I'll just start doing some ASMR. Production value, pathetic millennial going, moving on up in the world. Anyways, I did a video for Rebel Media about a year ago called Why It Sucks Being Conservative in College or some bullshit like that. Now, I don't necessarily consider myself conservative. I don't want to be lumped into the fucking same category as Steven Crowder or Ben Shapiro, because one of them's gay and both of them are virgins. So that's why I retitled this video, what it's like being a fucking legend in college. Now, I'm not going to tell you where I went to school, but I will say it was fucking gay. Now that, since I mentioned the Rebel, I left the Rebel last year because they weren't right-wing enough for me. Just kidding. I went to college for journalism, and I did my internship at Rebel Media, and everybody there was very nice to me and very accommodating to me. They let me work with a broken leg.
Can I ask you a question? Sure. What happened to your foot?
Oh, I jumped off a stage at a concert into a mosh pit. Nobody caught me. They sent me to Young and Dundas to interview crackheads, and I couldn't run away, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I have some notes here. Every single one of my videos in studio at the Rebel, they all suck. I'm just gonna say it right there. They're all shit. They're garbage. They're super cringy. You can tell that I'm very uncomfortable. But if you want to watch them, just fucking Google pathetic millennial and Rebel, and my videos will come up. One thing at the Rebel, they called me Adam the pathetic millennial. It's just pathetic millennial, okay? My real name is Adam, but it's not, you know, Lauren Chen, the roaming millennial. It's not fucking Marcus Meechan, the Count Dankula. It's fucking pathetic millennial. I named myself. I went to school for journalism, and I remember asking Ezra Levant, hey man, do you have any advice for young people wanting to get into journalism? And he said, yeah, don't. He's like, you got a phone, you got a camera, you got a Facebook page, you got social media, boom, you're a journalist. Any motherfucker can go somewhere, cover a story. If you fucking do blogs, you're a journalist. Bam, you don't need to go to school for that. He's like, you could be a fucking welder and make $100 grand a year, and you don't have to deal with all the bullshit. Or, you know, some people want to change the world by going to journalism. You won't change the world. Some people like the fake celebrity of being a journalist. But yeah, I started to think, like, do I really want to be in a position where the ability to feed myself and my family and pay my bills depends on whether or not my video goes viral or not? That sounds like literal fucking hell. You know, let's say you wake up, you feel like shit, you're going through a divorce, and you have to fucking wake up and be funny, be the funny guy on camera, and go to Young and Dundas and make people laugh, or fucking go to England to interview pedophiles. Fuck that. You know, I'm convinced that there's like 10 people in the UK that aren't pedophiles. Anyways, so yeah, a little bit about myself. I went to college for journalism. I paid to learn how to be a journalist. Big mistake. $3 grand a semester, which was not bad. It's Canada, but $3 grand a semester, 4 semesters, that's 12 grand, plus textbooks, editing software. Meanwhile, you can go to, in Canada right now, trades are so in demand that you can go to any college or trade school for free right now. They'll give you textbooks. You'll learn 4 or 5 trades in 6 months. You get to pick which one you want to go to. Unless you're going to college for science, technology, unless you're going to college for science, technology, engineering, or math, college is a waste of fucking time. You can learn photography by yourself. You can take out a loan that you would have went to school and make your own movie. You don't need to go to school for artsy shit or how to write. Get a trade. The trades in Canada, at least to my knowledge, are in such high demand because all the fucking boomers hogged the job market for so long. They're all dying or retiring that they need young people to fill in these positions that they're losing. So in Canada, you can go to school, to a trade school for fucking free and learn a trade that could make you over $100,000 a year. Anyways, I just got a couple of things here. Bear in mind, I graduated a year ago, last year in March or May or June. I don't really remember. It was a year ago, and that's kind of a long time for me because my memory's fucking garbage. That's what years of alcohol, drug abuse, and several concussions will do to you. So I was in college from 2017 to 2019, and I was already pretty conservative. I wanted to go to school to learn how to write and edit, and then my dream was to intern at the Rebel. But after working there, I realized I don't want to be doing this full time, because you have to censor yourself when you work for somebody else. I work for myself now. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Okay, so 10 reasons why being a fucking legend in college sucks. Wow. So in no particular order whatsoever, here's this is a college story time. This is a story time to get to know each other. My real name's Adam, but you can call me Assface McGee. Okay, I got a note here. So we had to do an essay on an argument, and I argued why. Jesus, for fuck's sake, Chinese piece of shit. Okay, so I was in class. We had an assignment where we had to do an opinion piece, argumentative opinion piece, where you say your argument and why, whatever. So I wrote an essay on why Trump's border wall would be a good thing, because a lot of the atrocities that go on at the border, 80% of the women crossing the border get raped by coyotes. Coyotes being the people that help them get across the border. It happens so much that women take birth control before they cross the border because they know they're going to get raped. That's just a ticket across. That's a ticket to freedom, right? So, being in college and all the fucking Me Too shit going on at the time, I was like, okay, if you don't like rape, then you're for the border wall. For lack of, I'm paraphrasing. I said to the teacher, 80% of the women get raped. People are getting murdered on the way there. They'll have rape trees, like trees with bras and panties on there where they bring the women and rape them. They fucking murder people. This one guy who lives on the border found his dog playing with a human head. He found a fucking child that couldn't climb the fence, so they left him to die at the top of the fence, and like a certain percentage of them are criminals, and a lot of the people crossing the border are like MS-13 fucking so basically people who cross the border, I said, were murderers and rapists. And my teacher responded with, don't you know that a lot of people murder and rape? Don't you know that America already has rapists and murderers? And I said, okay, if America's full of rapists and murderers, why would you want to bring more in? Wouldn't you want to keep the bad people out? Does that make any fucking sense? Don't you know that a lot of people rape and murder? Nice try there, pathetic. Okay, No Country for White Men. This is a good one. So I was in school for journalism, obviously. And when you're a journalist, sometimes you get to work on TV shows, news programs. So they said, if you're looking for an expert on a TV program, let's say you're interviewing a person about rockets, Elon Musk's new rocket. Here with us today, we have Dr. Rocket Science Man. They said, if you're working on a show and you need to find experts for the topic you're covering, this was literally on a test that I had. If you're working on a TV show and you need to find an expert on a topic, try to find somebody who is of a visible minority. Because Canada is very multicultural, and we want to reflect that on television. Well, okay, so the way we become more inclusive, so he said somebody who's a visible minority, preferably a female visible minority. So the way we become more inclusive is to actively discriminate against somebody based on their race and gender. That's sexist and racist. So, instead of finding the person who's most suitable for the job based on meritocracy, you want me to sift through all of the possible candidates to find your token black guy. Yeah, that's not racist at all. This guy, 4 doctorates, 5 doctorates, studied for 6 months at Berkeley for engines, but he's black and trans? Fuck yeah, dude. So that was fucking retarded. Try to find somebody of a visible minority. You want to know why most of the people you see on TV are white? It's because Canada's predominantly white. Same with America. Bunch of shit about reparations. This is going to be a long video. Most, if not all, the professors believe that 9/11 was bullshit, that it was an inside job, controlled demolition. Now, they were trying to teach us bias in media and how CNN had a bunch of fucking... One of my professors worked at CNN, by the way. They had all the right angles to find where the buildings were going to blow up. And then when they invaded the Middle East, Iran or Iraq, same shit, they had all the best camera angles to watch the bombs go off that were seemingly supposed to be like caught in real time. Like, oh, we just happened to see this bomb go off. But they had each camera in like a fucking good place. So that means that they were tipped off. And they were fueling the fucking propaganda machine. So they would criticize CNN for being pieces of shit back then, but now when they shit on Trump, CNN is great. They said when you need to find a credible source, CNN, the New York Times, Washington Post, you know, all the fucking the really shitty mainstream media bullshit. I mentioned Fox News and they laughed at me. They're like, ha ha ha. And I was like, well, I like Tucker Carlson. And they're like, yeah, all right, David Duke, shut the fuck up. Anyways, oh yeah, I was doing an essay once on gun control, and I used Breitbart as a news source. And I showed my teacher my bibliography, and he goes, Breitbart, I don't know about that one. He was visibly triggered by Breitbart. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just do my, I did an essay on dolphins and whether or not we could eventually talk to them. Doing acid and dolphins. So yeah, it was a liberal hellhole. They were condescending to me. They assumed we all thought alike. They shit on anything remotely right wing. Okay, all right, this feels better. All right, what do we got next? Oh yeah, they told me to they told me to say, oh, that's not bad. Can't believe I bought 15 of those. So they told me to say that Faith Goldie was a Nazi because for school I went to Ford Fest. So for you Americans, Doug Ford is Rob Ford's brother. I'm sure you know who Rob Ford is. Doug Ford, he's the premier of Ontario. Think of it as kind of like the governor, I guess. And he has an annual barbecue called Ford Fest. So I went there to cover it. And Faith Goldie just happened to be there. So when I went back to school for the TV show, because we would put on a mock TV show, like an actual news thing, they wanted me to write. I was like, so yeah, Ford Fest, I wanted to say that, they're like, what's the story? And I was like, that the Liberals hid the deficit for Ontario, and Doug Ford exposed it. And they're like, no, that's not the story anymore. I'm like, what is the story? And they're like, the story is that a right-wing, white nationalist neo-Nazi was there. And I was like, I was there. There wasn't any Nazis there. It was very multicultural. Actually, quite a lot of immigrants. There was a lot of, I love Doug Ford, yes. And I was like, how long you been in this country for? They're like, 35 years. Anyways, so I was like, what the fuck? Nazi? There wasn't any fucking Nazis there. And they're like, yeah, Faith Goldie was there. And I was like, so what do you want me to write? And they're like, write that she's fucking neo-Nazi. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, I was really upset, so I went to the fucking school bar, because we had a bar there, and I drank like 6 pints. And I went back, and I was like, yeah, I fucking did some research on that bitch. And aside from being pretty hot, she's not fucking a Nazi, dude. And they're like, yeah, she's definitely a Nazi. And I'm like, where's your proof? And like, she's admitted it. And I'm like, show me your proof. Well, I said, actually, what she said was, I do not bathe in tears of white guilt. That does not make me a white supremacist. I oppose state multiculturalism and affirmative action. That does not make me a racist. I reject cultural relativism. That does not make me a fascist. Goldie, in defense of coverage of Unite the Right rally. So I said that, and my teacher's like, come with me. For the next, she's like, you got to check your bias at the door. So for the next 10 minutes, she tried to confirm her own biases by going through article after article. She couldn't find anything until she goes, aha! She was on the Daily Stormer. She was in a podcast with white nationalists. And I'm like, so she's guilty by association? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so if a black guy interviews the Grand Wizard of the KKK, does that make him a white supremacist? Guilty by association? And my teacher goes, well, it depends on yes. And I'm like, really, a black white supremacist? She goes, yeah, it depends on the circumstance. Black white supremacist? That's literally a Dave Chappelle sketch.
Don't be afraid!
This is literally comedy. See, comedy has a way of predicting the future. I did a sketch 2 years ago called Crosswalks Are Racist because it's a white man. Fucking 8 months later, it literally happened. But yeah, there was a petition saying that crosswalks are racist because it's a white symbol. It's a white guy walking. I literally did a fucking video about that. So yeah, anyways, in college, blacks can be white supremacists. Awesome. Nobody parties. Nobody parties. It's me, my buddy Eric. Well, we would just straight up get drunk on Friday between class. Show up to fucking Shereen's class. Shit face. It was awesome. And everybody knew we were drunk. It was the fucking best. Because we were just like, oh, miss, I will like to interject. Yeah, Tucker Carlson is really fucking cool. But anyways, nobody parties. This one kid in our class, it was his 19th birthday. And I was like, Cole, man, I'm going to fucking get a bottle of Grey Goose. We're going to go to your place. We're going to fucking have a huge party. I'm going to throw a fucking TV out your window. He's like, no, I think I'm going to go back to Keswick and see my parents. I was like, what? Dude, you turn 19. Let's go to a fucking bar. You live in a building right above a fucking bar, man. Let's go party. Let's celebrate. We'll invite everybody from class. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, all right, man. There was a survey. Yes, the dreaded survey. So the survey was, in the age of fake news, how do you feel about conservatives and Trump? Because you were what it's like is you guys are young adults going into the journalism industry. How does it feel to have Donald Trump attack the profession you're going into every single day? It was more or less a survey to find out how many kids in the class were right-wing leaning, I guess you could say, more conservative. Because I was just like, he's right. I'm taking journalism so I can fucking learn the ins and outs of the trade. So when I become a journalist, you know, I can be more credible. But Donald Trump is absolutely right. If you weren't a fucking retard, you would know before Trump that the news is fake. Economic factors may put a spring in the Easter Bunny's step this year, some shit.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny's step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny's step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny's step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny's step this year.
It doesn't take rocket appliances to find out that, you know, the news was fake well before Trump coined the term fake news. Another thing that happened, you might have seen this. Puppies. Dogs, puppies. I love dogs. I love puppies. But there was a thing called the Pause event. P-A-W-S. Pause event. Where if you were feeling stressed, you could go to a room and pet dogs. Stress dogs. So I was supposed to cover a story every single week. So I was like, I'm going to cover this story. So I went down there to interview. There was a fucking lineup out the door to this room with service dogs that you could pet for, I don't know, 2 minutes if you were feeling stressed. So I went down there to interview the fucking dog handlers, the people running the event, and people who were going to pet the dogs. So I went up to several people and I was like, hey, can I ask you a couple questions about the Pause event? And dude, like, every single one of them was like, actually, no, I'm very stressed out right now. I have like so many essays to do. I just really want to pet some dogs. I'm just so triggered. I can't like do 5 seconds about these dogs. No, I'm just okay. I'm triggered. I can't do it. I'm like, okay, Jesus Christ. I think I interviewed like one person, and then when we were in there, like, you need to get the fuck out of here. You're stressing everybody out. It's like, all right, faggot. All right, see you later. The calendar. I took a class, documentary class. We're all in our fucking early to mid 20s. Class full of 25 and under. So, adults, right? The one class, we had to work in groups. And the first day when we got our groups, we had to, the professor gave us a calendar. She gave us a calendar to each one of us. And some of this shit is just so retarded and mind-numbing. It's hard to explain. Basically, she gave us a calendar and was like, many of you are going to school and are also working jobs. So when you work together in a group, it's important to find out when people are free so that you guys can work together. So let's say Stacy is free on the 16th and John's free on the 16th and the 17th and April's only free on the 18th. You guys need to find a day on the calendar where you can all get together. So if you're going to work on a Thursday, put on your calendar, we're going to work on a Thursday. If you can't make it on Thursday, make sure you get in contact with the people in your group and say, I can't make it Thursday. So if you're working in a group, it's important to also get those people's numbers. So I know that many of you have cell phones. It would be a good idea if you would exchange numbers. And we're all sitting there like, no shit, duh. We've been in this fucking course for a year and a half. We know how calendars work. We are all friends now. Even me, I had friends. They thought I was a retard, so every time I would open my mouth about anything remotely right-wing, they'd be like, oh, that's just Adam. He's crazy. It's a fucking total waste of time. We already have each other's numbers. We know how to fucking use a phone. We know how to use a calendar. We'll put a fucking reminder on our phones. Okay, moving on. That reminded me. Okay. Yeah, they make you pick electives, classes that don't mean fucking anything. So if you're going to school for engineering, they're going to make you pick an elective. An elective is just a random class you can take. Some of the electives in the school I was at was history of chocolate, history of vampires, detectives, ladders. Okay, I'm getting really fucking tired of talking about all this shit. Bringing up bad memories. Okay. Here, we're getting to the juicy stuff now, but as we move along, getting progressively more drunk. This is a very long video. Boomers teaching young people how to use social media and build their brand. We had an assignment, a media branding assignment, where we had to talk about how we're going to brand ourselves, how we're going to have an image. You got to have a brand in this media world. You got to be related to a topic or a certain edge or whatever. This fucking 65-year-old woman telling young people how you need to have a brand. You need to be relatable. You know, you need to gather an audience. You need to check your analytics 5 times a day. You need to post at this interval, and this interval. You need to hook your audience in 30 seconds. Because you need to have, the way you get content and the way you get views is to do this, and this. Okay, there's no mathematical equation to building a good brand or being successful on the internet. I mean, I'm sure there is a bit of a science to it, but the way you become successful with garnering an audience is post good shit. Post good content. Post things people want to see. And be yourself, I guess. No amount of fucking checking your shit, posting it's 5. You gotta post at 5 o'clock, or you might as well kiss your fucking channel goodbye. No, post good content. That should be the number one rule. Post things people want to see and try to sound good. But we had a media branding assignment. Sorry. Where it's like, you gotta build your brand. And I said, my brand's gonna be Pathetic Millennial. I'm gonna post pranks, reaction videos, commentary, maybe some music. My brand across all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, is going to be Pathetic Millennial, because millennials are a generation where, you know, people think that we're pretty pathetic. So I'm going to own it, right? I'm going to name myself. And I almost failed that assignment. I got a 53% on it. My teacher was like, I don't really understand your brand. It doesn't make any sense. I don't think you're going to be very successful on the internet. I don't understand your brand. It's not good branding. Well, you know who said I have good branding? Fucking Vice. Vice magazine. Motherfucking Vice, the people who wrote an article about me. Bitch. the best part is I posted that barbecue video while I was still in college, right? There was people in the class that had YouTube channels for years, didn't even have 1,000 subs. So I posted that video while I was still in college, and overnight I had 100,000 subs, which was, I'm gonna be honest, it was very overwhelming, because now I'm talking to a camera right now and a microphone, but I gotta remember that I'm actually talking to quite possibly 100,000 people. 12 million people have seen my face. My neighborhood where I live, I get recognized all the fucking time. Like, not to toot my own horn or whatever. Fucking, I'll just tell you this. I was on a date once. We were going to Dollarama to buy birdseed because I was going to take a girl on a hike. By the way, if you're poor as fuck, take a girl on a hike. If you're going on a date, take a girl on a hike, because hikes are free. So I was like, hey, bitch, just so you know, I might get recognized. I don't want to sound like I'm trying to suck my own dick or anything, but might get recognized. She's like, oh, shut the fuck up. As we go to Dollarama, the guy who holds the door open for me goes, hey, are you the hot dog guy? And I'm like, yes. So my video was hit I remember walking into class, and one of the girls said, Adam, your video just hit 1 million views. And I'm like, fucking A. And my teacher, who almost failed me on my social media branding assignment, who said I wasn't going to be successful on the internet, says, oh, Adam. Oh, that's our Adam. Oh my God. Anyways, so they fucking bring in social media experts. They brought in 5, 6. Well, first they brought in 2 people, but then they brought in like 6 media experts. And I sat at the back of the class sniffing my own farts, because I thought I was super cool. They're trying to give us advice on how to garner a lot of views and how to like get a following and shit. And I mean, I guess it's probably good advice. I mean, not everybody can have a viral video. I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I mean, by the stroke of the YouTube gods, I was able to have it get trending, get on the trending page, but I used copyrighted music, so I didn't see a fucking cent for that. Ezra Levant really let me know about how much money I could have had. But they had these media experts on, and at the time, I had more subscribers on my YouTube channel than all of them combined. So I'm sitting at the back of class, like, fucking waiting for somebody to say, Adam's got a video with 1 million views and 100,000 subs. But that never happened. I didn't want to say anything, because after posting that video when I was in college, I straight up just shut the fuck up. I stopped hanging out with people, and I kind of just kept quiet, because I didn't want to make anybody feel bad or feel like their work, I didn't want anybody comparing themselves to me, because I always acted like a shithead in school. So I didn't want to make anybody feel like, oh, what the fucking this kid, really? I was also the first kid in my class to get an internship, and I wasn't fucking getting coffee for some faggot at the CBC. I was on camera doing my own videos for Rebel Media, and I was posting videos on Rebel while I was in school, and I didn't show anybody my videos. I didn't say, hey, look at me, because I didn't want anybody to think, I didn't want anybody to feel bad, and I didn't want anybody comparing themselves to me. I wanted everybody to just be like, oh, good for you, and, you know, there's other people with YouTube channels in the class, and I didn't every single day go in and say, hey, fucking, it's at 2 million now, it's at 3 million. But yeah, is my face red? Fucking 5% vodka? Jesus Christ. You know when you're, when you get drunk, or you do a couple lines, and you post a bunch of fucking weird shit on your Instagram story, and you comment on everybody's Twitter posts and Facebook, and then you wake up the next day, it's like, oh, Jesus, I'll delete that. It's kind of different when you got 100,000 people following you on social media. But anyways, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna wrap this motherfucking video up. Fucking philosophy teacher was a twat. Entire history class was fucked up. Everybody's autistic. Oh yeah, there's a Trans Remembrance Day. So Remembrance Day is November 11th, where you remember the fallen soldiers, the brave men and women who risked their lives, fought and died for your freedom and the freedom of your country. People who went to war. Some people didn't come back. Some people came back without any legs. Lieutenant Dan didn't have any legs. The men and women who fought for your freedom. Now these gay motherfuckers had a Trans Remembrance Day to remember the fallen brothers of transphobia. People who were victims of transphobia. That's not the same fucking thing, man. A man who thinks he's a woman and puts on a motherfucking dress is not the same as a 16-year-old kid who faked his age so he could storm the beaches of Normandy. That doesn't make any... How dare you co-opt fucking Remembrance Day for your makeshift vagina? Fuck. Gender-neutral bathrooms. I actually was a big fan of those because I would get completely naked and take a shit. My buddy Eric would fuck girls in there because you could lock the door. This one time, I had my shirt off and I was flexing in the mirror and I backed up into the fucking handicapped button, so the door started to open up that I had locked, and I had my shirt off. I was like, oh fuck. So I was trying to force the fucking door closed with my shirt off, and some professor walked by and I was like, hey, what's going on, man? The last thing, this is an actual video somebody did from my college, and I'm just gonna end on this. There's a video where they say when white people say that they don't see color, that actually perpetuates racism. I used to think that was bullshit, but I heard somebody say, spend a month in prison and then try talking that colorblind shit when you come out. And I kind of agree with that. So this video is fucking hilarious.
That racists don't marry the people they're racist to or have kids with them. I think that's a common misconception. People are racist and have kids with, like, slave masters had kids with black people. Like,
yeah, that was called rape.
It's just what it is. It's something that hasn't changed, and I think that people think that a proximity to black people equals they're not racist or they can never be because my friend is so-and-so or my friend does this, and they respect me, so why doesn't every other black person? That's not the case. I think that's the hugest misconception, is the proximity to black people does not allow you the privileges of what it means to be black.
Wait a second, black people have privileges? You can't... Okay, there was like a couple mixed kids in my class. I was like, do you identify more with being black or white? And they were like, oh, obviously black. And I was like, could that be because there's no privilege to being white? Because if there was white privilege, you would more identify more with being... Anyways. But racists will marry people they're racist to. So a white guy could be racist against blacks. So a white guy meets the love of his wife. So a white guy meets the love of his life. She's black. White guy meets the love of his life. White guy, that's a fucking tongue twister. White guy meets the love of his life. She's black. He marries her. He has 5 beautiful children with this black goddess that he fell in love with. He comes home from a day of, 12-hour day at the factory so that he could put food on the table for his lovely black wife and kids. And he gives the food to his wife. She spends hours cooking dinner, collard greens, and, she slow roasted a fucking brisket. Took her 8 hours. She put a lot of love and care into this. Maybe she knitted clothes for her kids, and this white guy, he's sitting at the table across from his beautiful black wife, and his black children are say, hey, Daddy, look what I made this macaroni picture for you in school. And he's listening about their day, and he's loving to hear about them. He's having a great, good old time with his family. He loves his black wife. He's got black kids, and, he's just soaking it all in, and he looks across the table at his wife, looks her dead in the eyes, and just goes, fucking niggers. Yeah, because that makes a lot of fucking sense. Anyways, on that note, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you on the other. I'll see you later, boys and girls. Goodbye.